If the bank called you tomorrow and said you're approved for a HELOC and you didn't have to pay it back, what would be the first thing that comes to your mind? That right there, that thought. Now stop. Would it be buying something, taking a trip, getting some financial relief? Now let's talk about those decisions that you would make because realistically, you do have to pay it back. But what if you approached it differently? What if instead of thinking about spending it, you started thinking about how to use it in a way that could actually generate money? Okay, so let me walk you through what I see happens a lot. People qualify for a HELOC, they get access to a lot of capital, and then without even realizing it, they start treating it like extra money. There wasn't a real plan before they applied, no clear purpose, just the feeling I need more breathing room, and the HELOC felt like the answer. And let me say this, that's not wrong, it's just incomplete. Let's talk about it. Because needing money is not a strategy, wanting options is not a plan, and a HELOC without intention is just debt with a better interest rate. I see that happen a lot. Some people use a HELOC to clean up things, maybe consolidate some debt, and for a moment it feels like progress. But a few months go by and life starts doing what life does, right? And now the cards are back and the HELOC is still there. It didn't solve the problem, they just made more room for it. Does that make sense? So here's the mindset shift. Stop thinking about a HELOC as just money and start thinking about it as access to capital with a purpose. Those are two very different things. Money gets spent, capital gets deployed. And when you deploy capital with the right strategy, it comes back. Sometimes it comes back with more. Think about how wealthy people actually use leverage. They don't borrow money just to spend it, they borrow money to make it work. They put it in place that produce a return or they use it to solve a problem that's costing them more over time if they didn't. Does that make sense? Because the goal is not just to access money, the goal is to use money in a way that actually moves you forward. A HELOC gives you the vehicle, but you've got to know where you're going before you get in the car. So, this is how people use a HELOC, and it doesn't feel like they're making the payment. They don't spend it, they position it. They don't use it for relief, they use it to create return. So instead of them paying the HELOC, the strategy does. Does that make sense? A HELOC is not good or bad by itself, it's a tool. And tools only work when they're used for the right job. A hammer is a good tool, but if you try to use it to cut wood, you're going to make a mess, right? The tool isn't the problem, the application is. Same thing with the HELOC. When you use it intentionally, it can help you move faster, paying off high interest debt, fund something that actually produce more for you, or give you access to capital when you need it, not when you're desperate for it. Does that make sense? It can help you build real wealth, but without intention, it just turns into another payment, another balance, another thing you're trying to manage every month. So, before you open a HELOC, you should know these three things. One, what is the capital used for? Two, how does this move me forward financially? And three, what's my plan to replenish it? If you can answer these three questions clearly, you're thinking like a wealth builder. If not, you're thinking like a consumer, and there's a difference. Over time, that difference will show up in your net worth. And this is the difference between lottery ticket thinking and building wealth thinking. Lottery ticket thinking says, if I just had more money, things would change. Wealth building thinking says, I'm going to use what I have to create the change. Same tool, completely different outcome. Does that make sense? And moving forward, you get to decide which one you're going to operate from. So let me ask you this. Are you thinking about using a HELOC for spending or for strategy? Comment below and just say strategy if you're ready to approach this differently. Because once you see it this way, you can't unsee it. I'll see you in the next video.